Let's go to the Auckland electorate of Northcote, which is up for grabs, and residents say they're focusing on transport, housing costs and revamping a tired township. Voters in the suburban seat, which covers Birkenhead, Birkdale, Beachhaven and South Glenfield, will head to the polls in June after MP Jonathan Coleman, former health minister, of course, stood down last month. The Labour Party is putting forward Shannon Halbert, who works at Te Wānanga or Aotearoa, and before that was a policy advisor at Parliament. He contested the seat at last election, which Dr Coleman won by more than 6,000 votes. Historically safe National. The National Party is putting up Dan Bidwar, a Harvard-educated foodstuffs manager who earlier had dropped out of high school. It will be at least a three-horse race, with the Greens also intending to stand a candidate. Eva Corlett went to Northcote to find out what's on voters' minds.
It's very early in a parliamentary term for a by-election, but it's an important contest for Labour and National. A litmus test for Jacinda Ardern's government, and National will not want a repeat of losing Northland and therefore a seat in Parliament as they did to New Zealand First in 2015 in what was supposedly a safe blue seat. But smaller issues loom large on the minds of Northcote voters themselves.
Lots more parking. It's quite difficult parking around here. State housing area, it needs to be tidied up. Just general traffic issues, really.
More general things, the health issues and education. But, well, I suppose this development's another issue that we're looking at, and also the cycle track.
It needs a bit updating, needs a bit cleaning up.
I can't understand why they're making the footpaths like basketball courts. Where's the water going to go? Are they there for kids to play on boards and things, skateboards? Why on earth? And it seems to be taking forever.
Northcote, the first township on the north side of Auckland's Harbour Bridge, has a population of around 65,000 people. The biggest group is in their 30s and 40s, and it's a multicultural suburb. 1 in 4 residents identify as Asian. Dr Coleman won the seat off Labour in 2005. During the years of the national government, the party vote and support for Dr Coleman grew, but that gap narrowed for both at last year's election. 2 long-time residents working in an op shop have watched Northcote morph into a bustling suburb.
There's a lot of changes, a lot going on. Things have changed a lot in the 50 years, changed an awful lot, yeah.
What sort of changes for those that don't know the area?
Well, there's a lot of more infill housing, isn't there? Right. So there's more traffic. And traffic's a bit of
Traffic's bad,
yeah.
And parking in the shopping centre is bad. In the next 5 years it's supposed to be redeveloped.
Yes,
the whole shopping centre.
Yes.
Is that something you support?
Yeah, no, I think it definitely needs revamping up, and hopefully we'll get a bigger shop.
Another resident of 45 years, a National Party voter, says social issues are at the forefront of her mind.
Housing, of course, but not just housing, but the conditions of the housing that's available. Costs of housing, overcrowding, all that sort of thing. Transport, there's a lot of roadworks going on now which drives you a bit nuts, and mainly probably the infrastructure. Concerned about that all these houses are going up and everything's been going up for years, but they haven't been concerned about the real infrastructure.
So do voters think National will keep the seat?
No, maybe not, but the reason why was that Mr Coleman was a local bloke, and you could sort of stop in the street and talk. I like that sort of one-on-one sort of contact.
I think it might change because of the way the things that are needed to be done here. Different parties have different ideas of priorities, so who knows?
The way the previous government has been going, need more care for the people down here.
No, I think it might change.
Why is that?
I don't know, I've just got a feeling.
With the Greens entering the contest, there is a risk that could split the vote on the left, making a comeback for Labour, which has taken the seat before, just that much harder. Some voters remain undecided, but say they're impressed by both the National and Labour contenders. In terms of the candidates for this by-election, how do you feel about the choices made there?
Yes, I'm quite interested in the choices, yeah.
Well, it's interesting to see both these young fellas. I mean, I only know the 2 men, I don't know if there's others.
Yes, I'm quite happy. I'm sure that who's ever winning will do a good job.
The ACT Party and New Zealand First are yet to announce if they will put a candidate forward. The by-election will be held on June the 9th. And food for thought, a government hasn't won a seat off the opposition in a by-election since 1930. I tamaki makaurau mo te hōtaka o te iahiahi, ko Eva Corlett, Tēnei.